Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the second of our webinars as part of our cost of living campaign. I'm Laura Jameson, and I'm the Prevention Coordinator for Trading Standards Scotland. Our campaign is running throughout September and is looking to raise awareness of potential scams linked to the ongoing cost of living crisis. As prices and bills continue to rise, many consumers will have financial worries heading into autumn and winter. Scammers may attempt to exploit these anxieties and to target people online and via cold calls, emails and text messages in an attempt to obtain their personal details and bank account information. We're going to be talking about energy efficiency measures today, and I'd like to warmly welcome our panel and thank you all for joining us. I'd now like to invite you to say a little bit about yourselves. If you'd like to start, please, Jessica.
Thanks, Laura. So I'm Jessica Tighe. I'm one of the investigations managers at the Advertising Standards Authority. So I oversee investigations into ads, looking at whether or not they are misleading, harmful or irresponsible. And I also oversee our scam ad alert system.
Thanks, Jessica. Mark, if I can hand over to you, please.
Hi there, I'm Mark McLeod. I'm here from Home Energy Scotland. I work for Energy Saving Trust. Energy Saving Trust manages the Home Energy Scotland service on behalf of the Scottish Government. I mainly look after the work that we do to make partnerships with organisations who can help us reach more people to tell them about the work that we do.
Thanks, Mark. And again, thank you both for joining us today. So the focus of today's webinar is to help consumers recognise and avoid energy scams and to point you towards legitimate and impartial information and advice on installing and upgrading energy efficiency measures in your home. So to start, if I can come to you first, please, Mark, what sort of energy scams are most concern to your organisation?
The type of energy scams that are of the most concern to Home Energy Scotland are where organisations, businesses that are installing energy efficiency products either portray themselves as being Home Energy Scotland or associate themselves with the name Home Energy Scotland in a way to give the impression that they're officially approved or in partnership with us in some way. And they'll very often do that through cold calling or other high pressure sales techniques. And we never cold call anyone, and we never pressure any of the people that we support into taking up any particular option. We give people the options and give them the best information. So that's definitely the top of our list of things that we're concerned about.
Thanks, Mark. And I think that's really helpful, just highlighting that Home Energy Scotland will never cold call, and the fact that there are these organisations who are saying that they're affiliated with or are indeed Home Energy Scotland, and just something to really be aware of for consumers to look out for. Jessica, if I can come over to you from the ASA perspective, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Laura. Obviously, the ASA is focused on advertising. So we're concerned about scams that are appearing in ads, which might be ads online, but could also be, in leaflets, newspapers and elsewhere. And we are obviously particularly concerned about any ads that are exploiting the cost of living crisis. So that's something we're monitoring really carefully. So something we have seen recently that's of concern to us is online ads for some energy saving devices. So particularly claims that very small devices, electric room heaters but about the size of a plug, they claim to heat very large spaces. I saw one saying they could heat 250 meters squared really quickly. And they also claim that they can cut people's energy bills. Similarly to that, not exactly energy, but cost of living related, is claims about devices that you can install in your car that will really cut your fuel bills, for example. And obviously that's another big concern for people at the moment. So those claims are really implausible, and essentially they're too good to be true. But obviously people, some people will be particularly desperate at the moment and might be taken in by them. So that's really concerning. And what we've done with those is we have sent out an alert to all our partner organisations as part of our scam ad alert system, which I'd be really happy to talk a little bit more about if you're interested in that.
Absolutely, yes, please, Jessica.
Yeah, so this is something we set up a couple of years ago in partner with all the major ads and social media networks in the UK. So, you know, Facebook, Twitter, also the newer ones like TikTok and so on. We've got around a dozen ad networks who are part of it. And they have committed that if the ASA receives information about a scam appearing in paid for space online, we will then send that information out to them within 24 hours of having the reports, and they will commit to removing that ad and using the intelligence to try and stop similar ads appearing. I mean, it's not a silver bullet. This doesn't solve the problem of scam ads online, but it is doing something, and consumers can report those scams to us on our website, asa.org.uk. So we'd be really keen to encourage those watching this webinar, if you see a scam in paid for space online, please do tell us about it, because we can get that information out and hopefully stop some consumers being taken in by it.
Thank you, Jessica. It's certainly something that I've seen quite a lot of, even just reading the news online. And what I'll see is, in the middle of a news story, prices are rising, get your solar panels here. And it really is quite fascinating. But I think the algorithms from social media are they're really quite spectacular, because I've recently moved from Glasgow to East Ayrshire, and now I'm getting real targeted advertising for what's available in my area. It's absolutely astonishing.
Yeah, on online ads, they can do something called geo-targeting, and they can basically take where they know where you're based from your kind of computer address, and then they'll insert the place name in. And what you talk about there, they sound a little bit like some ads that we've seen in the past, which are similar to the ones Mark were talking about, perhaps where they talk about grants and funds that are available, and actually they aren't always available. So I think that's one area where people probably want to step back if they see something talking about a grant or a fund, and check with an impartial organisation if it really exists before going ahead.
Yeah, that's really helpful, Jessica. And I suppose moving really nicely on from there, Mark, what should consumers be aware of when a cold caller or online advert mentions the availability of a government or a local authority grant to help cover the costs of installing energy efficiency measures?
I think using the availability of legitimate grants and loans is quite a common tactic. And obviously, if something's making reference to something that you can find information about online elsewhere that makes it seem like it's legitimate, that makes it more authentic. But it is very commonly a tactic used by scammers to mislead people into both getting their money and data as well. If an offer from a source sounds too good to be true, I think, as Jessica said, it very often is. That's an old rule of thumb. And what we often find is that these kind of offers are bundled up with a sense of urgency to try and make you feel a pressure to, you've got to commit to it quickly, or the opportunity will go away. And whilst some legitimate sources of funding are funded over, fixed periods, very commonly, up to the end of a financial year, they tend not to be, you have to take advantage of this offer this week or you won't be able to get access to that funding. That's very, very rarely the case for a legitimate source of funding for making improvements to your home. We would always recommend that people do their own research before committing to any taking up any offers. And what we would always say is, as part of that research, is speak to us. Home Energy Scotland can give you advice on funding that's available, and we can make sure you don't miss out on any of the funding that you can only access through Home Energy Scotland that's provided by the Scottish Government. We also have on our website a funding finder tool that people can go on and use to find out for themselves what's available, including the grants and interest-free loans that are available through Scottish Government.
That's really, really helpful, Mark. And I think that was a really good point you've made there as well about the gathering of data, which is obviously a big concern of how that can then be, passed on and how that's actually being used. And I think drawing out the sense of urgency and trying to encourage consumers into making a decision when they would normally take their time, but they feel that if they don't sign up then and there, they're going to miss out on this, what's been put across as a great offer. So I think really just ensuring that consumers are taking their time and doing their research in advance. Jessica, is there anything you'd like to add to that at all?
I think the advice Mark has provided there is really fantastic, and speaking as a consumer, it's really useful to hear that as well. I think the only thing I'd really add from an ASA perspective is if you've seen an ad that's making these kinds of claims, and after doing that thinking and looking at other information, you think, actually, I'm not sure that was making, I think maybe there was something misleading there. There might have been something dodgy going on. Please do let us know about it, because we can look into it for you. Even if you're just a little bit suspicious and you're not sure, that's fine. Please do tell us about it on our website.
Thank you so much for that, Jessica. And we'll make sure we've got details for your website available for consumers so they can get in touch. So if consumers are concerned about energy bills and are looking to make their homes more energy efficient, how can they find trusted information such as energy efficiency measures, which will actually be beneficial in their home, and as we've touched on already, the legitimate sources of funding? Mark, if I can hand that over to you, please.
Thank you. Well, firstly, I would say that one of the best things you can do to find out about legitimate sources of funding is come and speak to ourselves here at Home Energy Scotland. We are Scottish Government's expert advice service, and we are able to give you tailored advice that will help you make the right choices for you, both about potential sources of funding, but also about how you use energy in the home if your concern is about your energy bills and making savings around that. Obviously, that's something that we're all quite concerned about as we move into the winter. And whilst it might seem overwhelming, the amounts that bills have gone up and are potentially going to go up, there are things that people can do that do make a difference, and knowing what those are, knowing how to do them, can make a big difference and a real difference to the cost of keeping your home warm and being able to keep your home warm. In terms of going back to the funding, one of the things that's really important is that there is grant funding available through Scottish Government through a scheme called Warmer Homes Scotland. Warmer Homes Scotland is a programme that's able to provide funding of typically around £5,000 that can help make people's homes warmer and cost less to heat. And the only way people can access that is through Home Energy Scotland. Now, what's a real shame is if somebody does get scammed into paying for improvements to their home, they might have paid for something that they could have got grant funding to get delivered. So there's kind of two different ways in which you can lose out. We've also got a range of resources on our website to point people in the direction of other support that's available from organisations who do other bits of helping people who are concerned about their money. And I think it's always really important to go to the right place to get the help that you need and get it from the people who are best positioned to give you that help.
Thanks, Mark. I really appreciate that, actually, and I think that's going to be of interest to a lot of consumers about hints and tips about how they can save on their energy bills and what they can do, because I suppose from my own point of view, it's, what can I do? What little changes can I make that will make even a small difference, because it does all add up. Finally, just like to ask, how should consumers source trusted traders? If I could come back to you, please, Mark, first of all.
What we would suggest is that there are a few different ways that consumers can source a trusted trader to do work to put energy improvements in their home. We always recommend people get 3 quotes, and obviously it is a good way of protecting yourself. But alongside that, we recommend checking to see whether the installer or the tradesman who's going to do the work is a member of any accreditation schemes or trade associations for the type of work they're doing. So, I mean, it's most simple. If you were getting somebody to install a gas boiler for you, you'd want to make sure they were a member of the appropriate safety accreditation body for working on gas. And there are similar accreditations for other types of work for different specialisms. We'd also suggest that consumers ask the trader what guarantees they'll provide for the quality of their work and whether any of the work that they're installing has warranties with it. So some different types of work, for instance, cavity wall insulation can come with a warranty that's registered with a national organisation that looks after that. And obviously, if you get 3 quotes and 2 of them are saying that they'll get you that and one of them saying that they won't, you can infer from that which one's operating at a slightly more consistent and at a level to higher standards. You can also, particularly if you're interested in finding out about renewables, Energy Saving Trust has a renewable installer finder, and you can use that if you're looking to source low carbon technology, things like heat pumps or solar panels.
Thanks, Mark. That's fantastic. And we'll share details of all the websites that we've spoken about today. And I think with what you're saying about making sure you obtain 3 quotes, that's giving the consumer time as well, that they're not rushing into the first option that they're presented with, thinking that that's the best measure for their home. And it just allows them that bit more time to do their research and find out just more about the company they're looking to use. Jessica, is there anything you would like to add?
Thanks, Laura. I think what I would add is that consumers can and should be able to trust that most of the ads that they see, the vast majority, are from legitimate businesses, simply telling people about their service. Scam ads are the minority, but we do know that they're out there, and it's really sensible for consumers to know that, particularly at the moment, those scammers might be seeking to exploit their understandable worries about, the coming winter and how they're going to cope with the costs. So, I just reiterate what Mark is saying, pause, step back and think, and do that before you part with your money, or even before you part with your details, just to make sure that you're not one of the unlucky few that do get scammed.
Thank you so much, Jessica. And I think it is something that we all need to keep in mind. It can sometimes be really tempting just to rush ahead with a decision, but to take our time and to do just that little bit of research and to speak to friends and family and trusted sources of information as well. And certainly the Home Energy Scotland website, Energy Savings Trust website, we'll make sure the details are available there. And I urge consumers, if they are looking to install energy efficiency measures in their own homes, to have a wee look there first of all, and find out what's right for their home too. I suppose no one solution fits every home, so to find out what's best for them. Well, I think that's been a really informative session today, and I'd like to thank all of you for joining us and for watching. I hope you found this useful. I certainly have. I'd like to thank the panel for joining us and sharing their knowledge and expertise. It's much appreciated. I think we've all learned a lot today. So the discussion doesn't stop here. Please do get in touch with any questions you have. We can distribute these and we'll make sure we come back to you. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and sign up to our weekly Scam Share Bulletin to keep up to date on the latest scams and how to avoid them. For more information on the campaign itself, visit www.tsscot.co.uk. And finally, thanks again to our panel and to everyone who's joined us. Have a great day, everyone.